What's going on, guys? It's Unknown Player here, and in this video we've got some really interesting stuff to talk about, and there's more things we could be seeing in this upcoming April update or the spring DLC. So of course we're getting all this stuff Bungie have announced, like the new PvE activities, the new strike, the new gear, etc. But we know there are other things in this update which Bungie haven't told us about just yet, and they're most likely going to tell us about these in the upcoming live streams every Wednesday. And I'm sure there'll be some surprises they'll probably leave until the April 12th when it actually launches. So one of those things appears to be something called a shader hacker, and also the possibility of a new faction opening up with Eva Levante. Now, recently we talked about the blighted SHADER strike and a description which was found in the in-game files. We got a lot of details about that, which I made a video on, and that info was found by a Reddit user called Darkovian, who also found some details about this shader hacker feature, and another Reddit user called DeSilva333 did some further digging and found more interesting stuff about this shader hacker. So the description for the shader hacker is metamaterial coatings and field effects can mark a suit of armor for tactical effect or for personal pleasure. So to me that sounds like the ability to be able to customize your own shader and change and fine tune how you want the shader to affect your armor and what you want it to do in certain effects, and you can choose how they mention between tactical effects or personal pleasure. Do you want it to actually be functional and be like a traditional camouflage and actually look how it's supposed to, or do you want it to look cool to your personal pleasure, and do you want it to look exactly how you want it to look? I really do not think that this will be simply just a color wheel which lets you make your own shader. I don't think Bungie will ever do that, just a shader where you can customize every aspect and you can pick the colors. I don't think that's going to happen, because that would make all shaders pretty much pointless. If you could have one shader that let you just fine tune and make your own custom shader, that would make all the other shaders completely redundant. So I don't think that's going to happen. I think this is going to be options into shaders, and you can pick how you want it to affect certain materials. Like you can make it affect metal and cloth differently. We know that the shaders in Destiny are very, very complex, and some shaders affect armor completely differently to others, and armor reacts differently to shaders than others. It's a very complicated system, and as you can see here, if we take the Glowwho shader from the Crota's End raid, you can see that that makes any of the cloth material, like the fabric, that makes it glow really strongly. If you apply that to metal, it doesn't make it glow, it just turns it that kind of turquoise blue color. So we know shaders are very complex, and I'm thinking that if you would take Glowwho, for example, and put it in the shader hacker, I'm thinking you'd be able to fine tune how you want it to affect certain materials, because obviously armor is made up of multiple different materials. And if you take the Titans, for example, most of their armor is like this plating, which seems to be metallic. It seems to be like this metal plating all over their armor. And the Warlocks with their robes, most of their armor is cloth and fabric. And the Hunters are kind of a mix between the two. But you can tell, I think there's going to be a little bit more customization added to shaders, and you can make it look exactly how you want it to look. But again, I don't think it's just going to be simply a color wheel where you get to make your own shader. I think this is simply going to be a lot more options for your existing ones, and it allows you to pick how you want it to affect certain materials, or maybe even exotics and class items as well, because most shaders these days in Taken King don't affect class items at all, which I really don't like, especially the Titan marks. A lot of them, the colors just look very odd, and I would absolutely love it if you can make the shader affect those. That would be really cool. And also exotics as well. Most of them in the Taken King, they made the exotics actually covered by shaders, but before they weren't. Sometimes they look cool, sometimes they don't. So again, more customization would be very good. And of course, Destiny is a lot about customization and making your Guardian look unique. That is definitely one thing that Bungie have always said they wanted to happen. They want your Guardians to feel unique, and you want to be different from other players. And that was definitely going wrong back in, say, Crota's End, when you'd look around the tower and you would see absolutely every Guardian, like 99% of them, would all be using the same raid gear from Crota's End and the sunsetting shader, the orange and black one, and it didn't really look too unique. So since then, Bungie have definitely done a lot of good work to make sure that you can look how you want to look, and the infusion system is a step towards that, because you get to wear the gear that you want to wear. But of course, there is a lot of year 1 armor that we would love to wear as well, and I do think personally they should remove the light level from the class items, because it doesn't really seem like a vanity slot. It seems like you need to wear whatever cloak is the highest level and not the one that you want to wear how it used to be. But it seems like this is going to be a step forward into customization and making your Guardian look exactly how you want to look. So now we're going to talk more about Eva and the possibilities of her new faction and what that could bring. So alongside the shader hacker, it was also associated with a brand new faction icon, a new faction in itself, whose icon is the same as Eva Levante, the tower vendor, and she is the Guardian outfitter who sells shaders and emblems, all that stuff, and it makes perfect sense for a shader hacker feature to be associated with her. So apparently her faction was being displayed next to all the other factions, and it appears to be a brand new one. So it was next to Iron Banner and House of Judgment, a new monarchy apparently, and it was found with a lot of text saying faction hash and faction name, faction description, and also of course shader hacker. So apparently where it said faction icon, it followed a link, and if you go to the link, it would lead to this icon right here. If you don't recognize this icon, this is Eva Levante's icon that you can see in the tab. If you go and visit her, you'll see the exact same icon, which again is further proof that this will be a brand new faction that belongs to her. And of course, if there's a faction, that means there'll be a ranking system, experience and reputation, all that, and there'll be some kind of rewards for hitting certain ranks. I'm thinking this also has something to do with the Taken shader, which previously I didn't think it would be a shader. This thing you can see right here with the Guardians in this Taken looking gear. I previously didn't think it was a shader, but this is kind of making it seem a lot more likely that it could be one, because previously I thought it wouldn't be one because it seemed a bit much for a shader. There was like a light beam coming out of the helmet, as you can see the class items are affected, and no shader currently does that. It seems like it's a bit much for one, but if there is this new item called a shader hacker and a ranking system with Eva, it makes sense that this would be some kind of maybe exotic shader or some crazy shader you have to unlock at maybe rank 5. And perhaps the further ranks you get, the more options you get to customize your Guardians and the more fine tuning you can actually do with your shaders. So if this does turn out to be true, and it is in the April update, it sounds really, really good. I'm especially loving how Bungie have made a lot of the most useless vendors actually have a purpose. Like in Vanilla, the gunsmith was completely useless, so is the speaker. And in the House of Wolves, they made him have a purpose with the re-rolling and also the trading with the speaker. And then the Taken King, Amanda Holiday, she was completely useless. She just had like blue and green sparrows and ships, but then in the sparrow racing, she had a purpose. And Eva Levante, she right now doesn't really have much purpose. You can buy some decent shaders off her and maybe a rare emblem every now and again, but most of the time you don't really pay too much attention to her. So I really like how they're giving almost all the vendors an actual ranking system and giving you an incentive to visit all of them. I'm really liking that feature, so I really hope this does come true. But of course, it is important to remember this is just data mine info, and you should take it with a grain of salt. Even though it was data mined at the same place that was found with the Blighted Chalice, which is, I think, very, very reliable, it is just data mined info. So we'll have to wait and see, and I'm hoping this actually does turn out to be true. Make sure you leave your thoughts down below in the comment section. What do you think of the shader hacker, and what would you want it to be? I'd love to see your opinions. And of course, a massive shout out to DeSilva333. I'll leave his Reddit post in the description if you want to go check it out for yourself and give it a read. Really interesting find. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video. Give it a like rating if you did, and I'll see you guys in the next one.